Today, I'm going to give you advice for first-time home buyers and how to find a good deal on a mortgage. Let's go. Welcome to Becky's Homestead. You will be much more stable, secure, and have peace of mind if you own a home when you're young. It's very important to consider where your money goes when you're young. If it's just going out the window to rent, or is it making a payment on a house that's going to be a future investment for yourself when you're older. Make sure if you get a mortgage, you get a very small mortgage. Get a small house, something that's not going to add a burden to you when you pay it. So when you're young, you might consider, well, I'm paying $600 for rent or whatever it may be. And try to look for a mortgage that's going to be about the same price. So you know you've already been paying this much and you can swing it. So you might as well just transfer that over to a mortgage and you'll know that you'll be able to swing it too.
You're going to be paying rent anyway. So you might as well, instead of paying rent, that's just money down the drain, you can get a mortgage on a small house and be paying into something that's going to have value, that's going to hopefully increase in value. It's going to be like an investment.
Oh, it'll definitely increase in value, and that's a very smart financial move. A lot of young people don't even consider that because they're thinking there's no way I can buy a home, you know, I'm too young or whatever, but that is not necessarily true. You can buy a home when you're young. You can get a good size loan when you're very young. It's just the matter of size is what you have to consider.
You don't want to get too big of a house too young.
Exactly.
It's not that you don't want to own stuff
right
starting out young. You don't want to get too much.
Yeah.
You could rent too big of an apartment when you're young also.
Exactly. You know, you don't need to own a big 5-bedroom house when you're a young person in your 20s and even maybe early 30s. You just don't need that. So don't even go there. Try to stay with something small, a small townhouse, you know, a small condo, just a small freestanding house. Anything like that would be a really good idea to look into.
You need somewhere to live no matter what. Mm-hmm. So the choice is either renting or buying.
Exactly.
And the TV shows out there and the real estate agents all have this image they put out there that if you're gonna buy, it has to be your forever house. It has to have a TV room, a dining room, a breakfast nook,
so
a reading room, 2 offices.
Oh yes, it's so ridiculous.
4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms.
Oh, every bedroom has its own bathroom. And then you walk around your own little modest house and I just say to myself, everything does not have to be so luxurious. It's just not necessary. I mean, if you want to do other things, which you do when you're young, you might want to go kayaking or camping or whatever your passion, your hobby might be. I mean, that takes money as well. You don't want to dump all your money into your mortgage. I mean, you want to be reasonable. So in that case, you don't need to buy a huge McMansion. Just buy something very small that meets your needs. And remember, regardless, it's still an investment for your future. Don't worry, it's still going to keep its value and gain in value. So you're not going to lose getting something smaller and less luxurious.
And the good thing is, if you're young and you're still living with your parents, or even if you're renting and you have 4 roommates and so your rent is like $300 a month split between all your roommates, you have time. Mm-hmm. If you have a family with 3 kids and you're looking for a house, you kind of have a little
more
clock
pressure.
ticking, more pressure to hurry up and get something because they need somewhere to live.
Yes, that's much more pressure.
But when you're young, you have time, you can keep your eyes peeled and find a really good deal on a small starter house.
Yeah.
And
jump
on it when you have the chance.
Yeah, scoop that up. And even if you have let's just say you get a 2 or 3 bedroom house and you're young, you can still have a roommate. You know what I mean? That'll lower your cost of owning your home. You can still have a roommate. Nobody says you can't. I mean, it'll be your home. You can do whatever you want to. And a nice thing about that too is all the money you put into it to improve it, all the improvements, is just money in your pocket. That's just going to benefit you down the line.
Some people don't want a roommate though. That's the benefit of owning your own place.
It is true.
Having roommates gets old.
It can get old quick.
And some people have roommates their whole life, like they're 40 and still living with roommates.
Yeah, because financially they didn't plan well. So that's why we're doing this video. We want you young people to plan well, so you're in a good, stable situation when you find yourself in your mid-30s. You know, when you're looking around. I mean, I know people that are, you know, no joke, like 50s, 60s and older that have nothing. They have nothing. And I just think to myself, how sad, you know, they've just worked their whole life. I mean, we all have to work, so they've worked their whole life and they've just never taken the time and effort to think things through and get themselves in a good position. And what I mean by a good position, I don't mean like, you know, you need to try to get a castle, but I mean some kind of a little modest home with a mortgage-free, you know, house by the time they're that age. It's just ridiculous. So the point is, you have to start thinking about that when you're young if you want to make it happen.
So if you can find a really good deal on a house when you're young and get a 10-year mortgage like we talked about in our last video and pay it off in 10 years, when you have that lifestyle of living mortgage-free where the only bills you have to worry about are your cell phone, electric, internet, insurance, health insurance, food, car.
Yeah.
Like when those are the only bills you have to worry about, taxes.
It's a deal changer.
That makes your life feel way more free.
Yes.
And with way less stress.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to work 60 hours a week if you have no mortgage.
And that is such a good feeling. Believe me, you don't even have, like, I still don't have a lot of money, but I don't have a mortgage. So it's like, even if you don't have a lot of money, you're like, well, I don't have a mortgage either though. So just that puts you a step ahead, which is awesome. And it just makes you so happy.
And once you have a home base, you can travel.
Yeah.
You can go out and plan activities and you know you always have your home base.
Oh yes, absolutely. Because when my kids were younger, they'd be like, when I would tell them to, you know, try to get a place, oh, well, I might not want to live there forever, or, you know, I'm young, I might want to move. No problem. You're right. But right now we have to live for today. We're gonna plan for today. Today, you need a home to go home to sleep at night. So don't worry about the future. You can sell, you can rent, you can lease your property, you can put it on Airbnb. There's lots of options. Don't worry about all that. Just find a nice, very small home and try to be a homeowner.
The main point we want to make today is how to find a good mortgage. So in my mom's book, there's a chapter where we have websites to look for to find land and inexpensive houses. So we're going to assume you already found a piece of land or a cheap house that you like. So today, let's talk about how to get a good mortgage, because we've both been through that. I've gotten a mortgage in my life. You guys got two or three mortgages, right, in your life?
One. I've had one mortgage in my life on the house.
So we've both had one mortgage.
Yeah.
So what the advice I would give
Which
somebody,
is more than enough. Mortgages suck. One's enough for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Personally.
One's definitely enough.
Yeah. You want to get rid of that
Like
as quick as possible.
Technically, if I wanted to, I could go out right now and buy another house with another mortgage.
Absolutely. You
Like
have home equity. You could go, boom, put your house there. Me too. You could just, boom.
All I have to pay on my current house is the property tax.
Yes.
And the homeowners insurance.
And that's a
So I could go get another mortgage if I wanted to, but I don't want to.
Exactly. There's no need for that. And that's exactly right. Once you have a mortgage-free piece of property, you really have something there where you could go get a mortgage on that and use that as collateral. So,
well, I'm just talking about theoretically, but I obviously don't want to because I don't want a mortgage.
No, I don't either. But it does give you options in life. You know what I mean? If you did want to start up a business.
Or if you had some horrible catastrophe where you needed cash,
right?
I guess you could get a home equity loan.
Yes, and
or
that's
a second mortgage, like if it was just like that, or you know, drop dead or something.
Right. And at least you have that option, which is awesome, just to have that on the back shelf, just in case you need it.
So the advice I would give somebody if they were shopping for a mortgage today is, I would say, go to a local smaller bank, not a micro bank that has like one branch, but I would go to like a regional smaller bank, or I would do one of the online companies that do mortgages. There's a lot of really great online banks now, and then there's really great local banks.
Right.
What I would not do is use a large national bank. Because just feel, this is just my opinion, that those large national banks aren't going to give you the best deal, service, or if something bad happens and you have trouble or you need to make...
Very quick not to work with you and take it back.
They'll just be like, you're
Very
just a
quick.
number and give you a hard time.
Right.
The small local bank,
Need your business.
you can go in there and talk to somebody.
Right, exactly. They need your business. They'll be happy
You
to
can
work
call
with you.
and talk to the loan guy.
Absolutely.
Or woman.
And get a relationship with them.
Yeah.
And so that's why getting pre-approved for a mortgage is really good, because that's the start of your relationship with the person and the bank that you're going to have your loan with. So getting pre-approved is a good step. I mean, I realize there's a lot of people out there that aren't in this position, but there's a lot of people that are. And those
That's
are the
the good
ones we're
thing.
talking to.
That's the good thing about the online mortgage companies is you can get pre-approved without affecting your credit score.
Right, which is important.
Right on your phone.
Have an idea of what you're looking for, have an idea of how much you can afford, and then get pre-approved for a loan. And the reason that's good is because once you're out there looking, that gives you a little more leverage on wheeling and dealing with the person you're buying the house from.
And then like we said in our last video, for the actual mortgage, I would do a fixed interest rate
Absolutely.
and a 10-year term.
Right.
And like I said last time, which I should make t-shirts that say this, if you can't afford it in 10-year mortgage, you can't afford it.
Maybe you're not in that position yet and you just have to keep going and, figure something else out. Because there still are other options.
And here's the thing with the fixed interest rate is when you're telling the guy or woman at the bank that you want a fixed interest rate, they're going to look at you like you're crazy. Because they're going to say, well, you're going to have such a higher interest rate with the fixed interest rate. Are you sure you want to do that?
No, to start with, they don't tell you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We could do this loan. They'll have some cute name for it. It's the Sunshine Sparkle Unicorn Loan. And the interest rate's 2.7%. Like, oh, well, where do I sign? But what they don't tell you is it's a bubble, 10-year variable market attached. That
In 6 months, it goes up to
7 years, then you're just
17%.
paying interest payments only.
The reason the fixed rate is good is because when I get into something, I want to know where I stand throughout the term of the mortgage. I don't want to start something at 3% and end up at 18%. And through the middle, you're like, huh?
So
Because
if you do the fixed interest rate, it's going to be higher. So it's going to be maybe double or triple their other variable rate loans. But
that's
you
how
gotta say,
they suck you into those variable
who
rates.
cares?
Yes.
I want to have it locked and set up
Same.
steady.
Because that way, when you're, whatever payment they tell you per month it is, it's that throughout the loan. That's not the case with a variable rate.
Who knows?
It can go, it never goes down. It's
Yeah,
for sure
it
going to
never goes
go
down.
up. Let me assure you of that. So that does bring you comfort of knowing exactly what you're getting into, how much your monthly payments are going to be, and how long they're going to last.
So if you have a mortgage, you have to have homeowners insurance. And this might be something people don't realize. Get your own homeowners insurance.
Oh, yes.
Okay? When you're there at the bank, they might be like, oh, we'll get you homeowners insurance for you. Just sign here and we'll do it all for you. Don't do that. Get your own homeowners insurance.
Mm-hmm.
When you know you're about to buy the house, start calling around and get homeowners insurance. Get it on your own.
And again, I would say a local company, somebody you can
Yeah.
develop a relationship with, somebody you can go in and actually talk to. That just works out much, much
and it's
better.
going to be way, way, way cheaper. If the bank gets the
Yes.
insurance for you,
Who knows
You're gonna
who
pay
it
a
is.
fortune.
Yeah, who knows who it'll be. God only knows. You know what I
and
mean?
then I would say don't ever buy property that has deed restricted.
Or a lien driveway, whatever that, an easement.
An
Oh,
easement.
that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Just steer clear. There's plenty of other land out there. Just steer clear
Or
of
house.
anything that has an easement that you need of right of way,
Yeah.
or somebody behind you needs of right of way through your property.
And
it's just a nightmare. I would run from that. I would avoid it like the plague.
We like living in the country, but one thing I realized is it's okay to live on a dirt road, but here's the thing I thought of. You don't want to live 10 miles down a dirt road, okay? Try to live
A mile. That's
about
fine.
a mile down a dirt
Yeah.
road. For me, if you have to go to a piece of property or a house and it's 10 miles down a bumpy dirt road, that's a deal breaker. Forget it. That gets
Absolutely.
really old because when you just want to run to the gas station to buy some ice cream and you have to bump down a bumpy road for 10 miles, forget it. It's the worst.
It does get old, and especially if you plan on staying there for a while, you just want your property close to a paved road. It doesn't have to be right on a paved road. And in fact, if you go just a little bit off a paved road, you'll probably get a better price on a house. It'll be a little bit cheaper. Being on a paved road raises the price a little bit. And if you're right off a paved road, who knows, in the future they might just pave that little
Sometimes
section
they
and
do.
boom, your value of your property will go up just for that. So that's
and here's a thing I would, if I could go back in time and talk to my younger self, this is what I would tell them is, don't buy property that's narrow and long. What I would do is make sure you try to buy property that's more square shaped.
And put your house in the middle if you have a choice.
The more square shaped, the better.
Yeah.
Narrow and long is not the best.
Yes. I mean, obviously, if the house is already there, it is what it is. But the reason being...
all things being equal, if you can choose.
Yeah, all things being equal, if you have a choice and you have looking at 3, pick the one that's on the square piece of property and the house is in the middle. And the reason being is, right now, you might not have neighbors crowding in, but you'd be surprised in 10 years how much a neighborhood can change. And then if you have a very narrow, long piece, it's like, boom, your neighbors are going to be right there on either side of you. I would also say, I mean, for me personally, since I love animals, if you're an animal lover, make sure you see what the piece of property is zoned. Do not take the word of the real estate agent. They might make a mistake. They might just say whatever they want, what you want to hear to sell the piece of property. So just make sure you look into that yourself. Once you've found a piece that you really, really like and you think it's the one, do some investigating.
And you find that out, you can call the county.
Yes.
There's a building and zoning department, and just call them.
And another good thing about looking that piece of property up is you can also see what the last person paid for the property. You can see how much the taxes are on the property. But a lot of times if you see what the last person paid for the property, that gives you a little leverage on wheeling dealing on the price negotiations. Because, they might try to double their money, and when you know how much they paid and they know you're a serious buyer, you might be able to whittle that way back and get a way better price on the piece of property.
How young do you think is too young to get a mortgage and buy a house? Do you think somebody could buy a house when they're 18?
I think there's a lot of young people nowadays that are very savvy, very intelligent, and I think if you're 18 and you have a job, a decent job, 18 to 20, I would say, is a great time to start at least thinking about it. You do have to have some sort of a job history. So, I mean, there are a lot of 18, 20-year-olds that have a great job, nurses or, something in the medical field or mechanics that are very stable, and that puts them in a great position. For sure, your early 20s.
What if you're going to college, you start college when you're 18, would you buy a house when you're 18 as well at the same time?
That you have to put some thought into. I mean, if you love the town you're going to college in and, there's a good facility there that you can just, whatever you're getting a degree in, move right over there into the company and you love the area, why not? I mean, you're obviously
Well, if you're a go-getter, you could buy a small house, have a roommate, and then when you graduate, you'd be paying on the house for 4 years by then.
Right.
You could sell the house probably for a profit, and if you want to move away, or if you stay in that city, you'll have been paying for 4 years. You only have 6 years left.
Oh, and you can at least be a rental property for the next students coming in. That could be a fabulous financial investment for a rental property. When you're young, what they try to push on to you is get a car with a car payment, get some credit cards. Those credit card companies are after you young people. They want to get you signed up, and then you're paying high interest on credit cards and, driving a brand new, perfect, maybe big car, making those payments. And, instead of that, you could be making payments on a house that is going to benefit you way, way more 6, 8, 10 years down the line.
For our next video, what we should talk about is good ways for an 18-year-old to make a lot of money.
Yes, I mean, that's
what we should talk about, because this consumer rat race world, it's just, there's one way. It's go to college, get in huge debt, graduate college, get a job, work 60 hours a week, and then that's it. That's the only thing they tell people.
It's so true. That's all they hear in school, and that's what they see their parents doing, the family, friends. And it's true. A lot of times they think that's the only option, and they're kind of just funneled down that road when maybe they're like scratching their head like, okay, like I don't really want to do that, but I guess that's what everybody does. And no, that's not true. There are other options out there.
So stay tuned for our next video. We're going to talk about good ways for an 18-year-old to make a lot of money.
So for more options and good ideas, stay tuned for our next videos. Thanks to all my Patreon supporters. I couldn't do these videos without you. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter and get special perks and rewards, the link is in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, here's a playlist with some more homestead videos you might enjoy. Thanks for watching. Happy homesteading. Bye-bye.